Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Under the Hood. We're going to wait for 10, 15 seconds until other people have joined. So thank you in advance for your patience. Thank you for waiting and welcome back. My name is Jonathan Moreski. I'm a product marketing manager for CloudGuard Network Security. And I am here with the technical marketing engineer extraordinaire, Jeff Engel, who's doing yet another Under the Hood session. Welcome, Jeff. Thank you for presenting to us. I think this one is going to be particularly exciting. Jeff will talk a little bit more about it as we go along, but this is an adventure into the concept of zero trust. This is the first episode of a 2-episode series. The first episode is about access control. The second episode is going to be about threat prevention. Jeff is going to be cramming a lot into this Under the Hood session. So I hope that you have your seatbelts on. Jeff, take it away.
Thanks, Jonathan. Appreciate it. So zero trust is an interesting topic. It's depending on who you ask, it is it can be many different things. It really depends on who you ask and what your approach is to it. From my perspective, and I'll jump into it in another slide or two, but it's a strategy. It's your organization's strategy towards locking down your environment. So quick review of the agenda today. Jonathan's going to talk about the partnership real quick. We'll go over just the overview and prerequisites, et cetera, that we always do if you've been on these before. Explaining what access control is in the concept of checkpoint, how it involves or how it relates to zero trust. The reference architecture, which is a review of the Azure standard Azure virtual WAN integration. A demo that will walk you through how to combine the two. Limitations and considerations. The always additional information and resources, which you can also find in the attachments link or section of the Bright Talk here session. And Q&A, obviously. So, and as we always say, please ask questions as we go. We can even pause the video. I have the environment that I used in the demo. If we want to look at something in particular as we go, if there's time, happy to do that. So please feel free to ask questions at any point during the session. We can possibly answer those depending on what it is. All right, Jonathan, take it away.
So you may have seen some of these slides before if you've been into our previous Under the Hood sessions. If you have, please excuse us in advance. Checkpoint and Microsoft have a very deep and broad partnership. One of Microsoft's leading security partners worldwide. We've been their #1 worldwide ISV partner in the last few Microsoft financial years. We have a bunch of award-winning Azure Marketplace offerings. We're a founding member of MISA, Microsoft's Intelligent Security Association. We are a premier Azure Marketplace vendor. MAC means Microsoft Azure Consumption Credit, I think. And if you want to know more about MAC, where you can actually use your Microsoft spend and use up your Microsoft spend by purchasing MAC-eligible third-party solutions like Checkpoint, CloudGuard Network Security, please, for more information, reach out to your Checkpoint account manager or to your Microsoft account manager. And we have a very tight R&D and integration. Azure Sentinel, Azure Gateway Load Balancer, and of course, what we're going to be talking about today, Azure Virtual WAN.
Thanks, Jonathan. All right, so what's the big deal? It's a big topic, and we'll do our best. And this is not going to be an end-all, be-all. This is just one piece of the puzzle. So zero trust is just a strategy for how your organization wants to or desires to lock down the infrastructure as securely as possible, but not impact it adversely. The integration that we have with virtual WAN is just one part of that. As an architect, you need tools in your arsenal to answer whatever challenges the organization brings. The integration, the combination of us two satisfies that request, in my opinion. The simplicity of, the combination of the simplicity of Azure Virtual WAN with the networking components and linking up and providing security very quickly and easily compared to what was available in the past, combined with the security and operational ease of CloudGuard Network Security and the ability to combine and create flexible security policies that will answer whatever the business brings to you for a request or a need to accomplish. As Jonathan mentioned, as we mentioned in the title, this first episode, if you will, is about access control. The second will be involving threat prevention. So in checkpoint terminology, and I think I cover this a couple different times, and I can talk about it again at different times if there's any Q&A, but there's two components to kind of the checkpoint world. There's access control and there's threat prevention. So today, in regards to access control, it's the, where the policy you create is totally dependent on what your organization requires. So checkpoint does not provide, we provide some guidance and some general best practices, but at the end of the day, you are in charge of creating that policy. And so the goal of this particular under the hood is to show you what is possible, the art of the possible, to steal a term, and I use that elsewhere in the demo video as well. We can't assume that you all know, and some of you will know all this, and probably more than what I show, and I probably missed some good stuff to show, but we can't assume that you all know what is possible, and so I kind of try to go through it with in some detail each part of that access control feature set. That includes the firewall, which you all know, application awareness or application control and URL filtering, so controlling applications and website access, content awareness, which is essentially DLP. We'll show you that. We won't really get into IPsec VPN and remote access too much in the previous under the hood, and you'll find it on YouTube, and there's actually a link in this Bright Talk session as well to the remote access VPN session we did in the demo video that's on YouTube. Identity awareness we'll talk about, time ranges, dynamic objects, geo objects, et cetera, et cetera. And I mentioned logging, and I'll qualify it up front. I did not, looking back at when I'm doing the video editing, did not do a great job of showing the beauty of our logging. So I may end up showing my screen to kind of give that a better view for you if you're not familiar with our logs. So let's continue. So prerequisites and recommendations. So in general, the familiarity with our integration with Azure Virtual WAN, as mentioned before, a few times now. You can see our previous Bright Talk sessions talking about Azure Virtual WAN. Both there's an onboarding video, there's a use case, just kind of configuration video and traffic creation, as well as a remote access video. All those will get you up to speed with where we're at with this particular setup and lab. Already 1.10 and above is the supported versions. And then in general, just in this goes for anything even outside of this, please, feel free to reach out to your account team, overlays, partners, etc. And always a shout out for checkmates for ideas and assistance. So you're not alone. There's likely somebody else out there with the same problem or has come across your problem and solved it. So don't feel like you are by yourself in this doing the tough work. All right, reference architecture is the standard one we've been using throughout. My lab does not reflect this exactly, but it does kind of give you an idea and just a reminder of the power of the virtual WAN integration. Basically, it simplifies connectivity of the networking components that you may see in a typical architecture, and then combined with CloudGuard Network Security being integrated directly into the hub, it makes applying security between those spokes very, very easy compared to what we have to do without virtual WAN. All right, so we will jump into the video, to the demo. Like I said, please feel free to ask questions as we go. We can pause it. We'll be here live and listening and waiting for you if you need anything. All right, so let's get started. So to begin with, we're going to just review the virtual WAN setup that I have. And if you've watched the previous demo videos, this should look relatively familiar. I'll jump into virtual WAN. I just have a single VWAN with a single hub. I have 3 VNet connections into the hub already. One for prod, one for dev, and one that I've called HR, just to give you a sampling. And there's those 3 connections. If I jump into the hub itself, we can review that configuration really quick. There's the routing intent configuration, sending all internet traffic to our CloudGuard gateways and all private traffic that cover these CIDRs also to the checkpoint, the CloudGuard gateways. And if we take a look at the NVA configuration, we can see our NVA configuration, NVA setup. So once that's set up, and if you have any questions about that, please take a look at those previous videos like I mentioned. If we jump over to the policy screen and jump over to management, this is where we want to show you the benefits of what the access control policy provides to you as you're building out your zero trust policies and configuration. So this is this is not obviously not an end all be all. This is just a sample configuration of something that you could do and kind of give you a flavor of the options available to you. So as you have to answer questions and answer requests, you know that you have these options at your disposal. So starting right from the beginning, let's just go right down the list based off of the agenda. The first thing that's kind of table stakes in regards to any network security device is the firewall function. And obviously the firewall function is built into everything you see here. But if you want to see just the basics, a basic firewall rule per se, you look at like rule number 1, for example. This source is a group of networks. This is my quote-unquote trusted networks as defined before. Get the idea. Going anywhere to the NTP service group, and the NTP service group contains the NTP protocols, and there's the ports. So that's your standard firewall rule. And because they're noisy, I'm turning off logging for that. That's the reason why that one's in there. But that you get. I'm not going to bore you with more firewall stuff per se. Outside of that, so the other more interesting things become when you talk about application control and URL filtering. So I have 2 different scenarios or 2 different examples of those in use. So let's look at the human resources section. And by the way, these yellow things are just simply titles and section titles. If you want to create a new one, you simply just do right click, new section title above or below where you've selected. And so under human resources, I have a top level rule that's labeled HR traffic, where I'm using the environment HR tag coming out of Azure. And I can jump over and show you that really quick. So if I take a look at my VNets and go into my VNets and go to my HR VNet and go to tags, you'll see I have the environment HR tag. So anything living in that VNet will get the environment HR tag. And so by default, this is kind of just a made-up rule, just to give an idea. I'm using a geo rule as well. And we'll come back to that in a second. That's later down the list. But that's the starter rule, the top level rule within that layer. As you get into more detailed options for that, you have that same set of sources going to the internet. And in this case, I've chosen the LinkedIn application, the Indeed application that we have defined, and also the job search and careers URL category. And so we're able to combine both of those, both application control and URL filtering, in one rule. And it also includes those services. You don't need to define those separately in one line. And take that a step further, and actually I'll come back to that in a second, but I also did a time-based rule on this one. So go down to another level in the same idea. I have a separate rule for application control underneath the development section for developers and development access and services. I also have a specific GitHub application for uploading. I am allowing that. And also egress traffic to update packages and do other things. This is as an example. So you're able to combine not only applications, but also protocols. If you want to select additional applications or additional categories, you simply go into that field, hit the plus sign, and you can actually filter by applications and sites and categories separately. So let's just pick applications, for example. And we'll grab Facebook as a pretty common one. There's a whole bunch of Facebook applications and sub-applications for Facebook that you could choose, and that exists for a lot of different applications. Same goes for URL categories. Those are pretty standard. You can also select from a number of different Another feature going down the list of things we mentioned earlier is content awareness. So content awareness is essentially DLP. It's a little bit lighter than a full-blown DLP, but the technology it uses it's doing a very good job of discovering what kind of traffic, what kind of files are exiting potentially out of your environment, or either direction actually. In this example, I chose source code for Java and Python. And I'm preventing uploads of that outside of the GitHub access that I created above that, to give an example. So if we just jump in there, we can take a look at what's possible or what's available to you in there. A lot of different options. Financial records obviously would be one that you would expect to see. Document files, archives, etc. PCI, data, etc. Next on the list is IPsec VPN and remote access. If you saw the very last version of this under the hoods, we went over remote access VPN, and also the fact that and in previous videos to that, that IPsec VPN termination is not currently supported directly into the hub. That's on I think the longer term roadmap for Azure. Next on the list is identity awareness. I don't actually have identity awareness configured. I don't have AD connected to it, but it's pretty obvious what that would entail. So I did create an access role that would represent what that would look like. So in your access role, you would configure your linking to an Active Directory user or a group, more than likely a group or OU of some sort. And so anything that would be at any person or object that's added to that group would automatically be granted access to this rule, or rules dynamically. And so that's the big thing with this example policy, is the majority of these rules, after they're created the first time, they are going to be dynamic. You should not have to go in here and modify unless there's a specific request to modify, obviously, in regards to using the tags that are coming from Azure, or access roles, or updatable objects, or these applications. Those get automatically updated as well for you. One of the other things that's on the list is time ranges. I know that may sound kind of silly, but not everybody can do it as well as we do. In this particular rule, I've added a business hours time object. If I double click into that, you'll see the granularity available to you. So I'm able to do not only the hour ranges and days of the week, which is really cool, but if you wanted to, let's say for a contractor that you know is going to be working a very specific time frame, you can start and stop that on a very specific day and time, and end it at a specific day and time, which is a huge deal in the past. I know, and if you even have the ability in other tools, in the past, without something like this, you'd have to go back and manually disable access if you had a temporary rule in, which is not ideal. Next is what I'm going to simply call dynamic objects. We've already talked about the tags and being able to pull those from Azure. I'll give you an idea what that looks like in full. So if I want to add additional objects, whether it's via tags or just directly to the object itself, hit the plus sign, go to import. In this case, I've already imported or configured my Azure account to be queried. And so I go to my Azure object, and in here you will see all the different things that are available to you to pick from. So you can see the tags that I mentioned before. I can pick VNets directly. I can pick subnets within those VNets as well, and as well as virtual machines directly from the query. And so those are all can be done automatically, which is pretty powerful. The other one that's pretty cool to mention is the well-known third-party services that are updated on your behalf. And so instead of having to create your own dynamic lists or track what IPs they're using, we'll do that for you. In this particular rule, for example, I've configured the GitHub access for my developers or anything tagged with the development tag in Azure to use GitHub services destination. So those are all the IPs within the GitHub realm. So this is if I mouse over this, you will see that description, which shows that we're grabbing all the IPs on your behalf, combined with the GitHub upload application to allow only uploads to GitHub, not downloads. And then, like I said, this is just an example. You can do whatever you feel be the best fit for your organization. But if I jump in there and take a look at what else is available to you, it's a whole bunch of different third-party services, popular services. So I won't scroll through this list super fast. I want to give you guys time to consume all of these, just to give you an idea of what is possible. And this whole conversation really is just to show you the art of the possible, to steal a term from an Azure architect that we know quite well. Because I think just knowing that it's available is part of the battle. Sometimes you just don't know because you don't have time to do your own research. So I want to make sure you guys can see what is possible. So I'm going to click into a couple of these here in a second. I'm going to let you look at this a little bit closer for a second. All right, just to give you an idea of all of the different services that we can key on and you can use in your policies to really restrict that access, to really create that zero trust policy as you see fit, and to restrict it down to only what's needed. Same for Azure. All kinds of stuff. And these are constantly being updated and added. Dropbox services. Windows updates. Zoom. You name it. And you may have noticed in that same section there was a spot for geo, and that's where we also put the geo locations. I know it's not quite as relevant as it maybe used to be because the attackers are smart and they can obfuscate and appear to come from anywhere, but simply restricting it down is also not is not a horrible idea. It's not perfect, but it's just another option for you as you're building out your policies. And as you can imagine, I picked Antarctica, which actually contains, which even surprised me. There's 5 areas within Antarctica. North America obviously is covered, Europe, Asia, etc. Nothing that shouldn't surprise you. Nothing that should surprise you. So now that we've walked through a sample policy, I'm just going to go ahead and generate some traffic so you can see what that looks like. The other part of this story is the logs and how good they are. Because, Checkpoint's been known for a very long time for management, ease of use, etc., but also the quality of the logs. It may sound silly, but it makes a difference in a day-to-day basis. So jump over and let's just generate some traffic really quick. And over here, and I'm already doing YouTube. We'll go to yahoo.com on that one. Some east to west traffic, and then this one should, if it's configured correctly, not be able to go pretty much anywhere, and I'll show you why in a second. All right, so we'll go back to the policy. And we'll just kind of work our way down the rule base here for a second and look at the logs. So if you didn't know this, there's a couple of different places you can look at logs within the Checkpoint management platform. One is right from the policy screen, which is quite handy. You can just click on a rule, and down below there's summary details, but also logs and history for the rule itself, as far as changes that are occurring to it. And so here is the latest ping request that came through. Going from my Devo 1 box to a Prado 1 box east-west, which is going through the hub to get to each other. I generated traffic for the egress traffic here for production, data here. So you can see my Microsoft traffic. Move this over a little bit. Obviously advertisements are huge. There's my Yahoo. More stuff. Google. Yahoo. There we go. Obviously, those websites are noisy. Not to mention the YouTube stuff is quite noisy, as you can imagine. And so the other one that I mentioned was that machine that is not able to get anywhere. So the reason that is, and this is an example of the automation that you could build into your environment, is requiring the tagging to be set correctly. So in this case, I purposely left off the tag, environment dev in this case, and because he's not tagged appropriately, or if it's a malicious actor that comes in and is able to deploy something, or something that's not approved by default, because our policy is set in the way that it's set, that traffic is dropped because it doesn't hit any of these rules. We're not just doing a network definition. We're not doing just an IP, etc. We're actually using a dynamic tag object. And so if we go look at our cleanup rule, we should see, there he is. this traffic trying to get out, and the pings east-west even are dropped. And simply because he's not tagged. If I was to add a tag, he'd get access pretty much almost immediately, probably within 30 seconds. So hopefully that was helpful. Just want to give you an idea of what's possible. Obviously, I'm sure there's things that I missed or things that people may bring up, but that's where we'll end this conversation for today. Please stay tuned for the next edition of this chat about Zero Trust and the integration with virtual WAN. It'll be on threat prevention. So we talked today about access control. The next talk will be about threat prevention and what we can do there. All right, everybody, take care. Thank you very much. All right.
Just in order to make sure that nobody's getting confused, it's not like we finished right now. We just finished the video.
That's right. All right. So hopefully that was helpful. It made sense. I know for some of you that was going to be probably old hat, nothing new for you. But like I said, we have to accommodate for all comers and all levels of checkpoint knowledge, and hopefully maybe learn something new today off of that demo. So limitations and considerations, these are going to be the similar ones that you've seen in previous under the hoods if you've joined us in the past. At the moment, there's no auto scaling at GA. That is under consideration by Azure at some point. We'll for sure see that. Only one public IP per NVA at launch, and no ingress traffic directly. So you saw today, pretty much we have been focusing on east-west and egress traffic. There is no ingress traffic that's available for customers directly through the hub. You can do it with a dedicated deployment. If you look at if we reverse course and go back to the reference architecture, you would see that you can deploy that. Actually, I'll just show that real fast. On the left-hand side there, you can deploy a dedicated ingress VNet, but in order to hear that ingress traffic, you would need to deploy another set of CloudGuard gateways. In a VMSS configuration is the best practice there. All right. So additional information and resources, as we mentioned, it's also in the attachment section of this talk. Admin guide for virtual WAN, links to the previous demo videos, the one for onboarding, the one for configuration of the routing intent itself, and actually, showing how to configure the VNet integration, et cetera, and kind of give you a flavor of what that would look like to attach spokes and show you how easy it is to attach and use virtual WAN and integrate the CloudGuard network security components to it. The video regarding remote access VPN, which is endlessly scalable. Yet another shout out for checkmates. Please, if you're not already a visitor to checkmates, please, for lack of a better way to say it, check it out. It is a great resource. There's a lot of smart people out there, including R&D. They always want to see what's going on in the wild, so to speak, and get feedback and adjust accordingly, depending on what's going on. People are very willing to help out there. It's a very active community. A link to the Azure Virtual WAN documentation and another link for the some GitHub diagrams and training that the Azure architect that's assigned to or that's coordinating the virtual WAN launch for Microsoft. All right, so now is the time for Q&A. If there is any, we'll give it a few minutes here.
So see if you can stump Jeff with some intelligent questions, and even if you don't have intelligent questions, add them in.
And take that a step further. If there's specific things that you would like to see us cover that we haven't covered. It can be like for you can just make it a comment if you want to make a comment. That's fine too. Happy to see those as well.
And now is also a good time that if you have specific topics that you'd like us to cover in future Under the Hood sessions, Jeff and I are planning the rest of Q3 now. So please add them into the Q&A. So that means Azure Virtual WAN is one of our main drivers for the last couple of months since we launched. But if you have any other questions on other clouds or other issues or anything that we can help you with, any suggestions, requests, etc., now's a good time to send it. Alternatively, you can download. Jeff, did you put the slides as one of the attachments?
That's one thing I forgot to do. That's my bad. I actually did not get to that.
That's okay. I'm just going to put it back on the screen for anybody who wants to see the email addresses. It's Jeff. I'm trying to turn Jeff into a marketing professional. He's so one of the things that you should be doing is making sure you don't have a pink font against like a purple background. No, I'm just kidding.
I actually put the email addresses on the announcement screen as well. I'm not sure where that shows up.
Excellent.
So I put both of our email addresses there. So I'm learning.
No, it's all good. I'm trying to pull Jeff over to the dark side. So again, we are here at your disposal for your pleasure and for your education. Whatever we can do to help you to learn more about Azure Virtual WAN or CloudGuard Network Security or anything similar, please shout it out to us. Yes, so there was a question, can you export a CSV of your rule set, please?
Can we export a CSV? I believe so. It's of my particular rule set. Yeah, hey Sonny. Yeah, I think I can do that. I will see what I can do.
Okay. Again, we're planning our Under the Hood sessions. We also have, by the way, for just for your information, we have some deep dive workshops or webinars coming up, which are not, the brief 45, 50-minute Under the Hood sessions like we do now, but more like deep dives, 1.5 to 2.5 hours. We have a few coming up towards the end of Q3. If anybody would like, some specific deep dive technical topics, please call that out. And another thing that we're also doing recently is we have workshops that cloud security architects will reach out to you if you ping us, and they will check out together with you what your needs are, where you are in the process, and how best we can help, perhaps including some sort of assessment, some sort of on-site processing, maybe even to do a POC. But anything that you need, we can customize that for you. We'd be happy to do that. We are a trusted cloud security advisor for thousands of customers globally. And as a trusted security advisor, we are here in order to help you with your needs. And maybe you'll have needs that we aren't able to deal with, in which case we'll say we can't. But most of the time, we'll take it as a recommendation, suggestion, request, idea, feature improvement. And so we'd be very happy to get that feedback. Please reach out to us. Jeff put in the announcement our emails. Alternatively, you can do a Google search for Checkpoint Cloud Security Workshops, and you can fill in that form. We'll reach out to you and schedule a customized or personalized workshop process with one of our Cloud Security Alliance, Cloud Security architects, preferably in your region. Jeff, anything else from you?
I don't think so. One thing, this is kind of a little bit late in this recording, probably for people that are viewing the demo. We've heard feedback over the course of time that by default, depending on where you're located or depending on your bandwidth, the default video quality is quite poor when you play the demo video back. So just like in YouTube, you can modify or change the quality. So that is recommended, so you can actually see the screen better. So if you are seeing this on recording and the demo video was trash, please go back to the video, replay it, and should be some sort of ability to modify the video quality.
Yeah, there's like a options cog. You click it,
Right.
it tells you what the playback is, and sometimes for whatever reason, the default is like, I don't know, something really low frames per second.
360 or
right, something like 360 exactly. So if you put it up to the maximum, then that'll turn it on, and you'll see that the quality has improved significantly. You can read stuff on the screen. You can understand Jeff. Just kidding. So guys, thank you very much. If there's nothing else from Jeff, and nothing else from questions on the bridge, on the webinar, please look forward and look forward to our second session on Zero Trust on threat prevention in 2 weeks' time. I think it's not on a Thursday, it's a Wednesday. So look forward for that. I mean, it should be, you can probably connect to that via BrightTalk because this Under the Hood session is actually part of a series, and that should be included in the series, so you can connect that way. Or wait for an email invitation, or reach out to us and we'll send you the link. Either way, thank you for your participation. We appreciate that. It would be that much of a more boring world if we were to do these Under the Hood presentations, or especially Jeff put effort into it, and there weren't that many people on the call. So we appreciate all the people that were there. That's enough. That's all from me. Thank you.
Take care. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. Well done.
Thanks, Jonathan. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.